Are you going to get bird flu from drinking raw milk? If you've been listening to the media, then you probably are. Or are you?
With a worrisome outbreak of bird flu.
A bird flu outbreak.
Bird flu for this.
Bird flu outbreak in life. The growing bird flu outbreak.
But what actually is bird flu, and what do the stats actually say? Today I'm going to be jumping in and talking all about bird flu, raw milk, and what your risks actually are, and you might actually be surprised by the end of this video. And as you're gonna learn, most of the fear surrounding bird flu has nothing to do with your risk of actually getting sick. It has everything to do with the media just hyping it up. So when did this collective fear of bird flu and raw milk really begin? Well, in March of 2024, bird flu, also known as H5N1 or HPAI, really started making headlines in the media because of one little outbreak in Texas. This happened when a few dead birds on a small dairy farm in Texas started infecting older cows on that farm. And one of the workers actually tested positive for bird flu when he started experiencing pink eye. Not exactly a life-threatening symptom. Now, this isn't because he drank the raw milk. This is because he came in contact with the cows and potentially even the dead birds themselves. So then in April that next month, the World Health Organization reported that this was only the second ever recorded case of bird flu in humans detected in the United States. I want to reiterate that point. This is not a foodborne illness. This is a respiratory illness that gets transmitted when in contact with other animals. And even then, animal viruses have a very hard time transmitting to humans. Even the CDC themselves report that, quote, animal influenza viruses are distinct from human influenza viruses and do not easily transmit from animals to humans. And the only demonstrated transmission source for bird flu transmission to humans is by direct contact of animals. Simply put, you would need to be at the farm and come in contact with one of the animals that was infected with bird flu, or the farmers themselves would have to come in direct contact with the infected cows, then mishandle the raw milk that would then get sold to us as the consumers. Then we would drink the milk. But here's the thing, while bird flu can contaminate milk samples from improper and poor handling by farmers, the FDA themselves stated in an earlier report that, quote, no evidence supports foodborne transmissions of bird flu to humans through raw milk. Right there, just hearing that should be case closed for raw milk and bird flu. But if that's not enough, in May of 2024, hundreds of people drank raw milk from a dairy with cows infected with bird flu. And guess what happened? Not a single report. Nobody got ill, nobody complained, not a single report was filed. This was widely reported by the Los Angeles Times at that time in May of 2024, and when they investigated it, they found nothing. This was then reported to the FDA, and they chose not to investigate it. To this day, there have been 0 known cases of bird flu infecting humans from drinking raw milk. 0, none. However, there have been a smaller number of bird flu cases in farm workers working in direct contact with the farm animals. The illnesses are generally very mild, with conjunctivitis or pink eye or eye inflammation as the main symptom. Despite this, without any supporting evidence of viral transmission from raw milk to humans in the peer-reviewed literature, the CDC went on to recommend in April of 2024 that in the interim, until they can figure out if bird flu in raw milk is a problem, it's probably best if humans avoid raw milk consumption just in case. They had no data showing that if bird flu, a viral infection in raw milk, is a problem, but they recommended that it's probably best just to avoid raw milk just in case. Of course, the media had a field day with this, and then of course it was another excuse to label raw milk as a poison or inherently dangerous. Now, after I spoke to my local farmer about the bird flu issues, they said not only do humans not catch bird flu from drinking raw milk, but the cows don't even get severe symptoms either. While this is an animal-to-animal viral infection, respiratory infection, this isn't meant to go from animals to humans. Cows don't even experience extreme symptoms. While most of the cows in the herd experience no symptoms, my farmer was saying, the ones that do often have mild symptoms, and after 6 weeks, they develop herd immunity altogether. Now, many of the major headlines about bird flu in the media today are not actually about humans, they're about cats. While there have been some documented cases of bird flu causing death in cats, unfortunately, because they're another animal. This is a viral transmission from animal to animal. This is really the extent of it. This isn't a problem in humans, as the data has shown. And the recent research done on cats found that cats given extremely high doses of bird flu unfortunately did die. But the cats that were given consistently low doses of bird flu over time not only lived, but they developed immunity. Now, if you're still not convinced, I'll mention this one last thing. From 2005 to 2020, the CDC released data for all foodborne transmission sources. This CDC data set found there were over 3,800 milk-borne illnesses. A majority of those, over 2,100 of those 3,800, came from pasteurized dairy, not raw milk. And of these 3,800 milk-borne illnesses, these were linked to bacterial pathogens, not viral. The CDC couldn't find a single viral illness associated with milk, raw or pasteurized. Viruses like bird flu were not found to be a problem in dairy. However, bacteria, that's an entirely different story. Is raw milk safe from pathogenic bacteria like E. coli and Salmonella? We're really going to talk about that in a later video soon to come, so make sure you're subscribed to this channel if you're not already. The predominant virus the CDC studied in this data set from 2005 to 2020 was neurovirus, which was associated with almost 8,200 illnesses. This was from leafy green. In that 16-year period from 2005 to 2020, no neurovirus or any other viral infection for that matter was reported in dairy, raw or pasteurized. Now, the irony of this, drinking raw milk actually is antiviral in and of itself. People are afraid of drinking it because they think they're gonna get viruses, which they're not. But drinking raw milk actually is antiviral. That is one of the major reasons that people should consume drinking more raw milk. Not only is bird flu, which is a respiratory viral illness, not something to worry about in humans, but raw milk, not pasteurized. I gotta emphasize that point. Drinking raw, local milk that's not been pasteurized, heated to high temperatures, is full of so many naturally occurring antiviral compounds. Just like human breast milk when we're infants that we get from our moms, why do we drink breast milk from our moms when we're infants? One of the major reasons is that we don't have an adaptive immune system yet. The breast milk from our moms contains so many of these antiviral compounds that are the same in cow's milk. And when we're infants and we're getting that major dose of these compounds, it helps to build up our immune system and protect us against those viruses. This is entirely so well documented that raw dairy is such an excellent source of antiviral properties that it's strongly recommended that infants not be deprived of raw breast milk due to the presence of viruses outside the body. Raw cow's milk and human breast milk are nearly identical in virtually every way. That's what makes it so compatible when humans are drinking cow's milk. That's what makes it so compatible. But when you heat up raw milk like that of pasteurization, heating it up to high temperatures, a lot of these immunoprotective compounds are very sensitive to heat. So it's going to destroy or denature a lot of these compounds altogether. Now, I'll end with this. You might be thinking, why not just play it safe and just consume pasteurized dairy and not consume the raw dairy at all? Forget the antiviral benefits, just consume pasteurized dairy just to be safe. For starters, a majority of people don't do well with dairy for the sole fact that it's been pasteurized and homogenized. It's not necessarily the dairy that they can't handle, it's just the way that it's been processed. Because a majority of the population is lactose intolerant, and when you are heating raw dairy that has all of these beneficial enzymes and compounds and peptides that help you to be able to digest that milk, when you heat it up to high temperatures, you're killing off all of those beneficial aspects, so you're not going to be able to tolerate it as well. You might get gassy, bloated, digestive issues, acne. I know I did when I was growing up. I experienced all those things from conventional store-bought pasteurized milk. But when I switched to drinking raw milk close to a decade ago, I can drink 2 to 3 gallons of raw milk a week, raw kefir, which is a fermented dairy, cheeses, and I don't experience any of those issues. Not to mention, there have been dozens upon dozens of studies showing the unique benefits of consuming raw dairy. It's even pretty astonishing to see that children who grew up drinking raw milk have lower rates of asthma, allergies, and eczema. Maybe kind of ironically though, according to another study, raw milk consumption in the first year of life actually improves respiratory tract infection. Raw cow's milk, not pasteurized milk because all the bacteria have been killed off, raw cow's milk consumption also improves levels of healthy gut bacteria like lactobacillus. Lactobacillus is a healthy type of gut bacteria that can help with so many things like skin issues, digestive issues like IBS, weight loss, and so much more. And like I already mentioned, consuming dairy in its raw form, if you're lactose intolerant, odds are you're probably going to be able to tolerate that a lot better. Now, just to recap, bird flu is not an issue in raw dairy, and many major organizations like the CDC, FDA, and World Health Organization all recommend that we avoid raw dairy essentially just in case, with no good evidence supporting the fact that you can get sick from bird flu when drinking raw milk. On the contrary, the science we laid out today showed that bird flu is not a problem in humans, and consuming raw dairy can be an absolutely powerful health food as long as you're sourcing it from reputable sources. Just head to websites like realmilk.com or rawmilkinstitute.org and you will find a long list of farms that sell raw milk, but they are going the extra mile, making sure that they are maintaining proper sanitary conditions and they are extensively testing every single batch of raw milk that they put out. Guys, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button below. Leave your favorite takeaway in the comment section below and send this out to somebody that you know needs to see it most, and I'll talk to you next time.